Hey y'all, we're back with another e-bike video. This is my wife's Lectric XP 1.0, the first edition. Here's mine. This is the one we recently did the controller on. And this time my wife has a flat tire on hers. I never did this, so I kind of wanted to make a video in case anybody else is questioning on how to fix your flat tire. What we're going to do today is put a tube in it. So I'm going to show you all how to take that rear tire off. I've had to put several tubes in her front one. Well, the front one's pretty easy if you ever have to do it. You're just going to pull the nut from the axle right there, right here, and then the whole assembly lifts up and out. You swap your tube, you put it back in. It's just like a normal bicycle at that point. The only difference on the back one is the back wheel has your electric motor, so you're going to have the wire harness going through your axle to be able to power that motor. Then you have a couple things with the chain in the way. You obviously have the chain, and then this is this side. Not everybody's going to have this little piece. This is for our trailer adapter, but I'm going to show you all how to break everything down and get this rear tire off. Essentially, you're going to loosen this nut and this nut on this side, unplug this wire harness up here so you can actually remove the tire, and then where that hex head is, this black plate behind it that actually goes around your axle shaft, so you have to remove this to be able to get the black washer guy off. You'll get him off. This side has one as well. You pull that, that's just going to keep your axle where it's not moving up and down, because you got it tightened from the sides, and that's going to keep the up and down play from moving. And we got to take the chain off as well. So I'm going to move the camera, set it up on a little tripod so you can see a little bit better. And the tools we're going to be using for this is, obviously we got a 3/8 ratchet, 18 millimeter socket is for the big axle right there. This is a 4 millimeter Allen key, which is going to be for that little guy there. And then you can either get a wrench. I moved all my wrenches back into my storage unit, so all I got is an adjustable now. That's going to help me get this guy loose, since we got a wire running through it. But yeah, let me move this camera and we'll get started on this. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do to get this rear tire off so we can fix this flat is getting this chain off. How I'm going to do it is I'm going to grab this back piece right here and just push the chain forward and just rip it off from the pedal assembly. That's the easiest way I have found to do that. Then we got to work on getting the axles taken off. So we'll start with the axle nut. We'll start on this side. Again, like I said earlier, once you take this axle nut off, not all y'all are gonna have this. This is just our attachment for the trailer to be able to tow that around. Once that guy's out, you're gonna have a washer, and then the next piece on there is where you'll need your Allen key. Take the little hex head screw out. If you had one that went on a ratchet, it'd be so much easier. I just don't have any of mine with me. XX screws out, and then this is the black washer piece that the hex head screw goes to. So it goes through the axle. So to get this rear tire off, you have to take this screw out. You'd be able to leave this on if you wanted to and just let it float with the axle, but this guy has to come out in order to do it. Then this side, we're going to use my adjustable wrench, since I don't have the right sized wrench. We've got to loosen this nut. This side's a little more tricky because it's got this little cage thing around it. There's probably better ways to do this, but this is just how I'm going to do it. At this side, we got the electrical harness here. So I'm just going to loosen this up a little bit. Then I'm going to rip my Allen key off. This is going to make our next part a little bit easier. this whole assembly right here comes off. And trick I learned is when you are taking this off, you got to have the hex head out of the way. So when you put it back on, you have to have the hex head out. Put this on first and then the bolt in. And when you're taking it off, you got to take the bolt out first of the black washer piece to get this guy to slip off. There he is. Bolt. We can just slide this over. We are gonna have to disconnect the electrical harness from right over here. I want to make sure y'all can see that. It connects right here. This will have to be unplugged. So let me unplug that. That's what it's gonna look like unplugged. You can see I did forget something. I gotta get something to cut the zip tie with right there. So if you're gonna use cut the zip tie, just be careful with it, and then just make sure you're not gonna slice these wires apart either. Cutting this. Okay. Zip tie is off. We'll just loosen the chain up a little bit, kind of get it out of our way. And then you should be just be able to lift it straight out from there. So now the tire is off. Now it's going to be like a standard tube replacement on any other bicycle. Let me get everything situated and I'll show you how to pop the tire off, just in case you don't know. The part where I actually take the old tube out, put the new tube in. You don't necessarily have to put a new tube in. Most of these are patchable, so if you have patches, know someone that can patch it, you can just pop this tube out, put air in just like you would any other time, inflate this, and then you can put it in water, spray some soapy water on it. You'll be able to find that hole. And I may show you how to find the hole in this one. I just don't have any patches on me. You can't really plug these. And then when I bought these bikes, I bought these tubes at the same time. If you have to buy a tube, you need to look at your tire size. So this one's a 20 by 4.0. That is the tire size. And these tubes, they're always gonna say it on there somewhere. So right here, hopefully y'all can see that. It says 20 by 4.0. That's how you know you have the correct size. Most of the time when you buy these tubes, they're gonna come with the little tire taker on our offers. So I'm gonna start with this side down because this has the electrical harness that I do not want to break. But then we still have a little bit of air in this old one. But essentially what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this and clip it up underneath that tire. And see, she pops. An easy way I do it is just spin it now. Spin it all the way around, and that front pops that bead. The front bead pops off the rim, and that's what we want. Usually if your tire is going to be super flat, it's going to stick out a little bit more. But now it's a matter of pushing this valve stem inside the rim into its hole. And it's hard because I have air still in this. I should have let off. If you have a core removal tool, it'd be easy to use it now. If not, you can get like a flathead. Obviously I'm using my knife right here. But you can just hit the inside of that valve stem, and that will allow air to leave the tube to make it a little bit easier taking it out. So right now you can hear all the air escaping from it. Once we got most of it out, we'll go ahead and rip the tube out. And this is removing the tube. We just ripped the tube out. Oh look, you can see this tube has already been patched. You just kind of work your way around. Pull this tube all the way out. It's been patched a couple times. There's a patch here, and then a patch here in this tube. Maybe in a little bit I'll air this back up and we'll find where it's leaking from. Because they can leak from patches that have been in there before, or it could be a new hole somewhere. But we can check that out a little bit later. So installing the new tube, you're going to want to find where your valve stem hole is. Right there. Get the new tube, take your valve stem cap off. I'm not a huge fan of doing bicycle tires. My favorite tires to do are semi tires. To me, they're the easiest. I'd rather do a semi tire over this. But these also have to be done. Somebody has to do them. So the easiest way I do it is I'm going to grab my valve stem, line it up with the hole. You know how I kind of have it laying over the tire. I'm going to stick this part in first and stick the valve stem through the hole. You just kind of stick your fingers in there and feel. But I have my valve stem out right now. Stick it through the tire. I'm going to put my cap on so it will not slip back in. And then just easily, just before we pop all this all the way in, a good thing to do is, this is your rim. Just kind of inspect it, go all the way over it, make sure there's nothing, making sure none of these spokes are sticking out. Because a lot of times that's why I've seen deflated tubes, whether it's in like dirt bike tires, motorcycle tires, bicycle tires, is these spokes will sometimes poke through the rim and actually stab the tube. So just kind of go around it, make sure that is not the case for you. Because if it is, you're gonna have to deal with that. Either buy a new rim, grind it down, cut it off, do something with it to make sure it's not gonna stab again. So I don't have anything stabbing mine, which is good. It's probably just a thorn or something in it. But we already got our valve stem through with our cap on. We're just gonna now kind of feed the tube into the tire. Just kind of paying attention to make sure it's not getting stabbed on the rim, and then making sure it's going as flat as possible. You don't want this tube all twisted up inside, because once we go to put air in it, that's going to create another issue if your tire's all crinkled up, and if your tube's all crinkled up and folded up inside of this thing. So the tube's all the way in. Now we got to get the tire back onto the rim. It's also where these tools are going to come in handy. You can put one like that, and we'll kind of work around it again. Tire's seated back onto the bead now. So now we are ready for air. I'll grab my little air dongle. If you have a compressor or another way to put air in, do whatever way you have. I have this sweet little bicycle pump. So take the valve stem back off, we're gonna close it, pick it up, boom, we're attached. And now we'll fill it up. You can always wait till you get it back on the bike to do this. I'm just gonna do it now to make sure everything goes smooth, so I don't do all that work by putting it back onto the bike and then having to take it back off. You can see right now the tire is starting to seat a little bit. We're getting a little bit of air in it. It's obviously got a long way to go. I'll make it a little easier than me. You can see that tire now going and seating. You're supposed to put these tubes call for a max of 30 psi, so make sure you don't go over it. As you're airing it up, I would maybe go for a couple seconds, stop, check your air pressure to see what you're at. I am just gonna go by feel because I don't feel like going to get my air gauge. I've done a lot of tires in my life, so I don't think I'm okay without an air gauge on these little guys. I just kind of put in there, checking, seeing what we're at. And My tire feels good now. I'm gonna put it back on the bike now. Yeah, that's how you put the tube in your bicycle tire. That method will work for any tire you have, whether it's just a regular bicycle, one of those super skinny ones, another fat one. It's gonna be the same concept. You're gonna keep the rim like this, make sure you deflate all the air out of your tube, and then if you have these little plastic tire taker offers, metal ones will work. You can use a flathead screwdriver. If you're gonna use a flathead screwdriver, just make sure you're really careful so you don't damage anything when you do it. But yeah, it's gonna be the same concept. Just stick it in and spin your rim around and you can pop those tubes out. Let me get everything set back up and I'll show you how to put this back on too. Okay, so to put this tire back on is gonna be pretty much the same way we took it off. We're just gonna go in reverse. I'm gonna just pick my chain up a little bit. When you're slipping this back in, you need to make sure you're careful with that wire harness. Since I did not take my bolt from my axles all the way out, I kind of have to move my little washer guys out of the way. And then when you're setting this back down in, if you did take all of the washers off, because all you got to do at this point is unscrew this nut and it slips off and get all these washers off. These flat sides on your axle are going to go with the flat sides that it's touching. So the rounded side's going to be at the top and at the bottom. When you slip this back in, just pay close attention that your little rotor is actually inside of your brakes there. That it sits down there good, and then I just kind of spin it to make sure, okay, yeah, this place is going to work. So now we got to just tighten everything back up. Chain's going to be one of my last worries I deal with, but it's driving me insane. Okay. Now, make sure the chain's on good. There we go. So now the chain's routed correctly. I'm gonna go over the top of this guy on the bottom of it. So now we basically do the steps we just did again. Go back through, put our hex head bolt on this side. Start it. We've got a few neighbors showing up here at the campground. You can probably hear them coming through. On this side, remember, we got to slip this on first before we put the hex head bolt. And we're just hand tighten it in case we got to take everything back apart. Don't want to have to deal with that now. We have to look for our hex head screw again, which is right here. Wiggle, wiggle, get the bolt in. Okay, I'm pretty sure I got everything right this time, so we're going to go ahead and tighten at least this hex head bolt. That goes back on nut. Tighten this side back down. Go ahead and send our hex head bolt all the way in. It's not extremely hard to do these rear tires. I don't know, I'm not, like I said, I'm not a fan of doing these. So I try to avoid it at all costs if I can. But they're not too bad. Just a couple nuts and bolts that take apart. Just remember how to do your chain when you put it back together. And again, I'm not a professional doing this. So like I don't know the correct torque sequence. So when you're putting your axle back together, your bike, you need to look up in the bike's owner manual, see what the torque is for this, and correctly torque it. I'm just gonna get mine pretty snug. And then Same on the other side. It's kind of a pain to tighten this axle bolt with this guard here. It doesn't give you a lot of room, and then you're not going to be able to fit a socket on it. It's unless you maybe have a spark plug, or not a spark plug socket, what they call it, O2 sensor. If you have an O2 sensor socket in an 18, you can probably use it in this scenario if you have one that small. Most of my O2 sensor sockets are bigger, 5/8. I just don't have any with me to keep it dry. And I kind of wish I had the right side wrench. It'd be pretty nice. I just took out all my wrenches not too long ago from the camper. I had an enormous amount of wrenches in here. Went over a year, did not use any of them, so I was like, okay, I'll take them out since they're just taking up space in the camper, and obviously now I need them. So right now I'm just loosening this back up so I can hold this little metal bracket so I can get it in the spot I want while I tighten it. And I'm going to make sure these are tightened pretty good, because this is holding your rear tire. I don't want this to fly off. This is also the motor that controls this bike, so I don't want this to fly off, especially when my wife and kids are on the bike. That's not going to be good. So I want to make sure I tighten these up pretty good. Unforeseen accident. I almost crashed on my bike when we were up in New York. I unfolded the bike and didn't latch the handlebars all the way. Didn't know it. Started going up a hill, and I had the girls behind me in the trailer. I was going pretty fast. Made a corner, and my handlebars collapsed on me. We almost wrecked. I was able to save the bike. It's a pretty scary feeling. But all that's tight. The only last thing to do is to line up your electrical harness back. I'm going to move the camera so you can kind of see inside of here how to put it back together. So when you look, you got all of these pins. You have 3 big ones. So 1, 2, and 3. And all the rest are small guys. And you look in here, you can kind of see, oh, right there above my fingernail, there's 1 big hole, 2 big hole right here, 3 big hole here. All the rest are small. So you're just gonna take this guy up and line those back up with it. Mine's gonna go something like that. Oh, I guess it also has some little arrows too. See the arrows there? So you can line the arrows up and boom, push them together. And the last thing is we'll slide this guy back, and I've already checked the chain, so we know we roll there. This bike everything electrically was working fine on it before we started, but the rear tire is installed on it again with a brand new tube in it. She's aired up. If you're doing this and you didn't air your tire up, now would probably be the time, or flip the bike back over and do it. Again, this is the easiest way to do the tire, is putting the bike in this configuration. If you have it parked like that one, I mean, I guess you could, if you maybe have a jack or something, or maybe a 5-gallon bucket to set it on, milk crate, you know, anything like that, you could set that bike on and have that wheel off the ground, so you can do it, I guess, more forward way. This is going to be a little bit backward since the bike's upside down. It's like when you're tightening your bolts, it's going to almost feel like you're going the wrong way and stuff like that. But yeah, that's how you do a tube in these Lectric e-bikes. It's not hard, just like any other tube, like I said earlier. The only difference is really taking this apart. Just the electrical harness, that little black piece with the hex bolt in it. That piece, I don't think I've seen on other bicycles, that holds the axle shaft from going up and down. I mean, I could be wrong, they could be on other ones. I don't think I've seen them like that. So yeah, and again, to do it, you're just going to loosen that bolt, drop this piece down, take that hex bolt all the way out that you're going to use a 4mm Allen key for. And then on this side, you're most likely not going to have this piece unless you're doing the little trailer things behind you. You're going to use an 18mm wrench or socket ratchet to take this off, and then again remove that hex piece all the way out. And if you're just going to do the loosen method, you could just loosen a little bit, loosen this axle nut a little bit, take out those hex keys all the way, slide the chain off. You know, these are pretty easy since they have this guy. It's almost, I guess, like a tensioner. You can just push it forward, it loosens that chain, you can just grab it and take it off. Just loosen, and you can lift that tire up. So when you're putting it back together, make sure your brake's inside of your rotor. And then before you go riding, and actually, you know, I think these bikes go up to 28 miles an hour. Before you get up to going 28 miles an hour, I would just kind of ride around a little bit, test your brakes, make sure your rear brake's working since you just took it off. Make sure your chain's gonna work. So I'd probably start in pedal assist 0 or with the bike off and pedal like a normal bicycle around just to make sure that everything's seated right. Your rear tire is not gonna go flying off. If everything seems good, then start stepping it up a little bit from there, and then have a great time. We're ready to get this bike back on the road today. So y'all have a good one.